Hi everybody, this is Oksana, and this is going to be kind of a chit-chatty type of video, but I really wanted to talk to you about, specifically pertaining to all natural makeup, just different categories of makeup and whether I feel personally like you should save or splurge on that particular category, just from my experience. Whether I feel like it's necessary to splurge to get, really good product, or whether you can save because there's, plenty of smaller companies making cheaper options, for example. So I want to start with foundation. And I just want to say real quick before I do jump right into it that this isn't necessarily like a for everybody kind of thing, because if you have a holy grail product, if you have that perfect color of lipstick, it doesn't matter if it's budget or if it's, high end. It's something you love, it's something you're gonna use, and that's, what you should buy. This is more like if you're unsure and you're getting into natural and you want to try some natural lipsticks and you want to know, is it worth trying some cheaper ones? Am I just gonna waste lots of money buying a whole bunch of cheap ones only to, have to finally buy a high-end one to have it finally work for me? Or can I save money? What can I do for each of these different categories? So this is kind of the way that I'm viewing it. And of course, this is all things that work for me, which is different than things that work for other people. So keep that in mind. And now, okay, getting into foundation. So I'm actually gonna break it down into subcategories because I think that's really crucial to do with foundation, because some categories for me are high-end and some are budget. So the first category I'm going to talk about is loose powder mineral foundation. This is something that is very vast. There are so many brands making loose mineral foundations, and there are so many smaller companies making it, like selling it on Etsy, and just small kind of indie brands, because it's something that can be made without, like, not necessarily in a lab with some high-tech equipment that you might need to make like a baked powder foundation or a pressed one, or, for a liquid one, you have to have like tested that it doesn't, grow microbes in it and it's preserved properly and all that stuff. So loose mineral powder is much easier than those other things. So there's a lot more of it out there. And because of that, I think that there are so many budget choices that you can definitely find a good one for a budget price. And like, now a budget price, I mean like cheaper than Bare Minerals, for example. But also some of these things, like Lucy Minerals is one of my favorite brands. It's like $20-something, I think, for full size, but it lasts forever. And it's a large jar of the powder. I think the All Natural Face is cheaper. That's another budget brand that I think is wonderful. And I think there's just so many good ones out there that you don't need to go to those high-end brands. And because there's just like a few basic ingredients being used, it's not even that you have to go high-end to try and find one made with, because it's different, because it's got different ingredients. It's not going to be different. They're like the same minerals that are used throughout. I mean, obviously there's a little bit of variation, but for the most part, there's not as much as there is with liquid and cream foundations. So with loose minerals, I think you can definitely save. And with pressed minerals, I actually also think that you can save. It's a little bit trickier because there's a lot less pressed minerals available. There is Honeybee Gardens, which is a little bit less natural than some other brands. I think they might be reformulating it to kind of switch up some of the ingredients in there. But that is a pressed one that I think is now sold at some Ultas. That is, an affordable drugstore type of pressed mineral foundation. The All Natural Face offers a pressed version of their loose foundation as well. And that one is, very affordable compared to the higher end products. And I like those both. I think they're both wonderful. I don't think you need to go to a high-end brand to buy a pressed foundation. Of course, I do have some that I love, like my Color Tones Baked mineral one. That's actually like the only baked one that's all natural that I know of. So if you insisted on having a baked one, then I would say high end for that, because that's literally like the only one I know that is baked that doesn't have, you know, ingredients that I avoid. The Conservatorie is another great pressed mineral foundation. So I talk about the Conservatorie a lot, but they actually renamed, so like the area that I shop in is, you go to their website and then you click on private label and it takes you to like a new website that looks just like it, but it says My Brand Cosmetics. So I don't know if I should be calling it that instead of the Conservatorie. It used to say the Conservatorie, but now it says My Brand Cosmetics, and they have pressed mineral foundation. They actually have two types. One is a higher coverage, which I really, really like that one a lot. So that is kind of budget, but their shipping is really expensive. So if you're splitting it with a friend, or if you're buying a whole bunch of things and you kind of break down the shipping per item, then it may end up being, you know, budget and you save. But if you're just buying one item and then you're paying like $15 for shipping, then it's kind of high-end, rivals high-end prices, you know. But it's only $9 for a compact foundation, which is really cheap. So that is, you know, loose and pressed. And now let's talk about cream. So cream foundations are a little bit different than liquid because most of them do not need to be preserved. When you have water or aloe or any kind of water type liquid in liquid foundation, you need a preservative or it's going to grow microbes, it's going to grow mold, and, you know, bad things will happen. But in a cream foundation, where it's essentially a balm, it's got waxes and oils and mineral pigments, and then it's, you know, a solid balm. There's no water in it. You have quite a bit of choices with cream foundation as well. The All Natural Face makes a cream foundation, which is, of course, you know, very affordable. But then there's higher end brands like 100% Pure recently started making one, and Ecru makes one, which I really like, which is $30. So that one is more expensive. Let me think who else. Cowgirl Dirt makes one, which kind of falls in the, it's not as cheap as All Natural Face, but it's not as expensive as some of the higher end brands. It's like middle ground. So for that category, I would say, for me personally, Ecru is the one that works the best. I don't necessarily love cream foundation. I like liquid better. Oh, actually Monave makes, I don't know if you'd call it a cream. They have one that is kind of a solid cream, and then there's another one that's a mousse. I guess that one technically would fall for me in the cream category because it's not, it doesn't have water in it. It's not like a liquid one, but it's softer than a cream. And so is Cowgirl Dirt actually. So we'll put that in the cream category. I actually like those, I think, the best. And they are, they're $8 for like the small concealer size jar, which for me would probably last a few weeks because a little bit really goes a long way. But then for a full size of it, it can get really expensive. I think it's like $30-ish or something. I forget exactly. So I guess high end. If the All Natural Face works for you, then that's great. And I probably would try it first just because it's so affordable. And they have such a great range of colors, and I know lots of people like it. But if it doesn't, then you kind of have to go the high-end route because there's really not a lot of other cheap cream foundations out there. So moving on to liquid foundation, which is my favorite at the moment, that is actually a really great category to talk about, I think, because there's not a whole lot out there when it comes to natural liquid foundations. I think it's more rare to find that. However, there's quite a few that I really, really love, and both high-end and budget, actually. So if I had to pick, I would actually pick budget for this category because I have the Physicians Formula Organic Wear, their CC cream, and their BB cream. Both of those are wonderful. This is not to be confused with their other BB and CC creams. These are the Organic Wear ones. So they have more natural ingredients that are really, really great and can be found at a drugstore. And say you buy it at Ulta, you use one of their coupons that they almost always have that's free to print out or use on your phone for like $3.50 off. You get it at a really cheap price for a tube of it. So it's a wonderful budget option that works incredible for me. I love it. It's my favorite foundation right now. However, if you do not like it and it does not work for you, then there's not a whole lot of other affordable options out there when it comes to liquid foundation. So I would say for me personally, it's budget because of that. But if that doesn't work for you, or if it doesn't come in your color, because it only comes in 2 colors, then I would say you have to go high end, because there is, you know, really the rest of them are pretty high end. You've got a really expensive one, which is the Jane Iredale, which I love, which is like $50. And then you have a few other options. There's Sappho is a really kind of expensive one. That's a nice one. It's also, I think it's like $52. Rossian Ceuticals makes one that I would say is high-end price-wise. That one doesn't work too well for me, but that's another one that, you know, may work for you, especially if you don't have dry skin. That one I find like it's a little bit too matte and not moisturizing enough. So I would say if the Physicians Formula does not work for you, you kind of have to stick with high-end from what I've tried. And I know the All Natural Face does make a liquid foundation, but I've just heard really bad reviews of that one, and I haven't tried it myself. And also talking about like real foundations, because I know there's a few tinted moisturizer type things that I don't really even consider a foundation, because I need it to have at least some coverage. So I'm not considering things like, there are some CC BB type creams at the drugstore. Like I know Juice Beauty makes one, which you can find at Ulta. I know Andalou Naturals makes one. I don't remember the exact price of that, but I'm kind of talking about real actual like coverage foundations here rather than tinted moisturizer type products. Another category is concealer, and for that it depends. I would say budget. For me, budget. But if things are not working for you and you're getting frustrated, then you might have to go to high end. So my favorite concealer is the Beauty Without Cruelty pencil one for underneath my eyes. That one's about 10 bucks. I would consider budget because it's a lot cheaper than some of the other natural concealers out there. There's also the All Natural Face, which of course is the cheapest, but that doesn't work for me too well. And there's Oh Suds, which if you get a sample, it's only $3 and it lasts you a really long time if you're just using it like on pimples and things like that, because there's a lot of product in there. So unless you are using it on large areas of your face, it's going to really last you a long time. And so I would consider it budget, even though their full size is a little more pricey. I forget exactly how much it is, but because that sample lasts such a long time, I kind of consider it budget. And then there's high-end ones like Christopher Drummond, which I also really, really love. And if the other ones I mentioned don't work for you, then you might have to go to high-end for, you know, one like that. And, you know, for me personally, I would say save on this category, just because I found some that work that are kind of more affordable. But because there's not a lot of variety, not a lot to choose from, it kind of depends on which ones work for you and, you know, which ones don't. Now let's talk about lips a little bit quicker here. So when it comes to lips, for me, honestly, budget. You know, if I had to pick, budget, because Silk Naturals, hands down, makes my favorite lip products. They have such a variety. Their amplifying lip glazes and slick sticks are amazing for my dry lips. They're like plumping and glossy. It's like wearing a lip balm and a lipstick and a lip gloss all at the same time in one product. And it is just, they're wonderful. And then their lipsticks, sorry, I feel like I have like an eyelash or something falling over here. Their lipsticks are wonderful too. They're a little bit of a drier formula, but they're very like pigmented, and they just have so many beautiful colors to choose from, and they're so affordable that you can have like 10 different colors. They're like $4.50 or $5 something for their lipsticks. So, you know, for me, I think those are wonderful, and there's lots of other indie brands out there as well besides Silk Naturals that I've heard great things about. Lots of Etsy sellers making wonderful lip products. So I really don't think that you necessarily need to go to high end when it comes to your lip products, unless you are looking for, you know, really pretty standard lipstick packaging where it is like an actual, you know, lipstick that you twist up, like Red Apple lipstick, for example, which is a wonderful, wonderful brand, and I love their products. But they are high-end because they're about $24, although they most of the time have coupons that you can use to save about, I don't know, 10 to 20% additionally. So unless you are looking for that kind of high-end look and feel to the packaging, then I would say budget for the lip category if you don't mind having a little lip balm type tube, which I don't mind. I think they're cute actually. So that is my kind of opinion on the lip category. Now let's talk about eyeshadows. So when it comes to eyeshadows, I definitely think budget on this one, or save rather than spend, because there are, again, so many indie brands making so many wonderful, beautiful, loose mineral eyeshadows. Now, if you are not into loose mineral eyeshadows, then you have a few options. You can press your own, this way, you know, still budget. Or, of course, you can buy ones that are already pressed for you, in which case you would have to go a little bit more high-end. I do not know of any budget, you know, truly budget brands that offer pressed all-natural mineral eyeshadows. The one exception to that is the Conservatorie, which does have pretty affordable ones, but again, their shipping is so expensive that it might put you in the high-end, you know, price range, depending on how much you buy and all that stuff. Another pressed one is Honeybee Gardens. They sell little individual ones that I think are like $8, but you can buy them a little cheaper, maybe like $5 on iHerb. I think they actually have ones that are pre-made with 4 little eyeshadows in them that are like 25 bucks. So that's kind of high-end prices to me, versus, you know, drugstores like Wet n Wild. There's no equivalent to Wet n Wild in the pressed eyeshadow natural world. And of course, even loose eyeshadows, they are Silk Naturals are like $4.50, so they're not, there isn't like you get a whole ton of them for a really cheap price in the natural world. So I guess Honeybee Gardens would be considered budget if you're comparing it to a loose little jar of eyeshadow. I think the All Natural Face is like $3.75 for a loose little jar of eyeshadow, so that's the cheapest you can get for loose, and the cheapest you can get for pressed is the $5 Honeybee Garden ones. But after that, it starts to get high-end, you know, like Red Apple Lipstick makes pressed mineral eyeshadows, and other kind of high-end companies do as well. Companies like Zuzulux and Gabriel that you can find at Whole Foods. Same thing for pressed mineral powder. Actually, I forgot to mention those brands. They make nice ones, but they're, of course, higher end. So that's pretty much it for eyeshadow, and that actually is where I'm going to end my video, because I know there's more categories. I know there's like blush and eyeliner and mascara, and for me those are very, like, I have a really hard time finding mascara, for example. So if I find one that works, then that's fantastic, and I'm really happy. And I actually typically don't use all natural mascara because that doesn't work for me. So that's not really a category that I can talk, you know, natural about. Although if you wanted to, you know, try some natural mascaras, then you have places like Physicians Formula. They make some natural ones that you can probably start out with because they're cheap. Might as well, you know, try them to see if it works for you before you splurge on a high-end mascara. And then high-end ones, of course, like Zuzulux, 100% pure. So all of those smudge on me, so I kind of have to stick with non-natural. And same with eyeliner. My holy grail eyeliner is the Physicians Formula pen, the one that is like a little brush tip. It's a silver looking pen, and that one, it doesn't have terrible ingredients. It's actually like quasi-natural, but the one thing that it has that's questionable is phenoxyethanol, which of course is a preservative that is not as bad as parabens, but not as good as some other preservatives that are, you know, better. So for me, that's like a compromise, and I use it because it works really well for me and it lasts a long time. So for me, that would be budget, because Physicians Formula is budget. But of course, if you wanted something truly, truly natural, Honeybee Gardens makes some natural ones that are, you know, a little cheaper than some of the more expensive brands. Like Jane Iredale makes some too, you know, for more. So I don't have a whole lot of input, I guess, on some of these because of what I use, you know, and because of some of the natural ones not working for me. And then there's things like blush that I honestly don't feel strongly about. I guess I'll talk about it a little bit just to get it out there, but I think there's plenty of wonderful powder blushes out there if you don't mind using loose. Again, Silk Naturals, All Natural Face, tons of indie brands making gorgeous blushes. If you do want pressed, it's a little trickier. My favorite is the Conservatorie again, but expensive shipping, like I keep saying. And other than that, there's really not a lot of choices out there for all natural pressed blush, especially in the budget range. There's some expensive high-end brands that make it, but other than that, so it's, I don't know, it's tricky. I don't really know what to recommend in this case. My favorite is the Conservatorie, whatever you would consider that to be. And for cream, I would say budget as well, because the All Natural Face has amazing variety of cream blushes in like every color that their powder blushes come in. And Silk Naturals has wonderful cream blushes as well. They come in like a little, the same tube as their lip products. Those are wonderful too. So I think I've touched upon all the big categories. There's kind of little things left here and there, like, I don't know, eyebrow stuff and, you know, things like that that I don't really have too much to say. I haven't tried like tons of eyebrow products, for example. So hopefully this is helpful to you, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.